Today we are going to learn flow of control. What exactly the flow of control? Okay, so flow of control is nothing but in which order all the statements will be executed at runtime. Okay, so what is the flow of control? Flow of control is nothing but in which order all the statements are executing at runtime. Okay, that is called flow of control. So we have three types of statements. Okay, we have three types of statements. So they are if selection statements. And the second one is iterative statements. Iterative statements, or we used to call it as looping statements as well. Looping statements. And third one is I'm using transfer statements. Iterative statements. So let's understand first the selection statement. The first concept is selection statement. Let's understand what are the different types of selection statements actually. Selection statements. So here the selection statements are again categorized into two types actually. Selection statements are again categorized into two types. They are one is if statements, the one is switch statement. Switch statements. So selection statements are categorized into two types. They are if statements and switch statements. Okay, so let's first learn about these selection statements. Okay, so then we'll learn the iterative statements or looping statements. Then after completion of the looping statements, then we'll go for transfer statements. Okay, so first let's see if statement. If statements. If statements. If statements. Now, so when you have to use the if statement in Java, if statement is used for testing the conditions. I'm repeating again. In Java, if statement is used for testing the conditions. If condition matches, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. For example, here A is equal to 20, B equals to 30. Okay. Here I am saying B is greater than A. So here what? B is greater. What is the B? B value is 30 and A value is 20. So here the condition is satisfying. What it will return? True. Okay. So in order to test these kind of conditions, we are using this if statement. Again, I am repeating. If statements are used for testing the conditions. If condition matches, it will return true. If condition didn't match, it will return false. Okay. And one more program. If we want to write a program, like let's say, if we want to write a program to test positive integers. So I want to accept only the positive integers. Then what? Then we have to write a condition. Okay. So it should be a is greater than 0, something like that. Okay. See, if I want to test the positive values only, if I want to take only the positive values, I should write a is greater than 0. So it won't accept. If it is less than 0, so it will say the condition is failing. Okay. So in these are the different examples we have for if statements. Again, if statements are categorized into four types. if statements are categorized into four types. They are if statement, let me go down again, if else statement. Third one is if else if ladder. If else if ladder. Fourth one is nested if statements. Nested if statements. So if statements are again categorized into four types. They are if statement, if else statement, if else if ladder, nested if statements. So let's learn one by one. So let's first learn if statement. If statement. So what is if statement? When we have to use if statement? Let's see. Again, if statement is a conditional based statement. So this will be executed if the provided statement or a given statement is true. At that time only this if statement will be executed. Okay. Now, what is the syntax of this if statement? How to write the if statement? So, syntax is if condition. If the condition is true, then we will be executing the statements. Statements. If the condition is false, we are not doing anything. Okay. If the condition is true, we are executing the things. If the condition is false, we are not handling that. If the condition is false, we are not handling, we are not writing any code if the condition is false. So if you have a requirement that you only, like when you have to use if statements, that's even you have to use if statements means if you have a requirement of only checking the condition which becomes true, then only you will be using for if using you'll be going to use the if statements. Okay. Any confusion when to use if statement? You know, if the condition is you should be like knowing that we are checking the condition only for the if the condition is becomes true, then only we will be executing the things, otherwise we are not going to do anything. If the condition is true, we are executing the list of statements, otherwise we are not doing anything. Okay. So if you have a requirement something like that, you want to execute the list of statements once the condition is becomes true. Only the list of statements once the only the list of statements once the condition becomes true, then only you have to use the if statement. Okay. So let's take an example. Let's take an example. Let's say we have a student actually. We have a student, and I'm like keeping like I'm giving an assessment to the student, and I have like given the cutoff marks as 65. Okay, or greater than 65. If the students who are scoring greater than 65, okay, so I'll give them as they pass the exam. Otherwise, I'll say the student failed the exam. Okay. So for this, I have to write a condition. So here 65 is what? Marks, cutoff marks. Okay. So I'll say if marks is greater than or equals to, should be a same 65 or greater than 65, then what I'm saying is I'll say pass. Okay. If he is getting less than, I'm not handling that logic actually. If he is getting marks less than 65, I'm not handling that logic. I'm only writing the condition which is getting succeeded. So once the condition is succeeding, I am returning the pass. So if it is not succeeding, if you are not getting into this criteria, of course, by default, you are not get this kind of pass statement in your console, right? So you should consider that. So he's failed something like that. Okay. So there is one more example. I'll take the same example of student. Let's say there is a student. I want to give the grade for a student actually. Let's say if a student getting a marks greater than 80. So I'll give the student as A. I'll be giving the student grade as A. Okay. Here also I will try the same condition. If marks greater than or equals to 80, then you should print grade A. Write in SOT, system.println, and you should enclose in double quotations. Any dots till now?
No.
No.
Clear.
Okay, fine. Then we can see a lot of examples actually. Let me write one more example. Uh, what I can write? Okay, let's say we have a number. Okay, if the given I'm giving a number, if that number is greater than 30 or not. Okay, so let's say this is the number which I want to compare, and I'm giving some input actually. Number one is greater. Number one is 50, and I'm checking the condition. If number one is greater than 30 or not. So what could be the answer? So if it is succeeding, so I'll say here number one is greater than 30, right? So here we are checking the evaluating the condition. So what is the value of number one? 50. 50 is greater than 30. So the condition is satisfying. So this condition will return true. So now here it is coming inside this one and it is executing number one is greater than 30. Cool. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, here, SOT is your for understanding. You are taking it as SOT, or we can direct. In general, we can use this SOT in while programming.
Oh no, you should write system.out.println. I'll write
Okay, okay. For understanding
system.
purpose, okay, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
I
understand.
don't want to see. I'm very
Yeah,
like
yeah,
lazy in writing all these things actually.
yeah, understand.
Yeah. So that's
Okay,
why I
okay,
like
okay,
have
cool.
given the SOT. Yes,
Okay, done.
O and T.
Okay.
SOUT. Okay. System.println. Now, any doubts other? Let's move to the next statement. If else statement. Second one is if else statement. If else statement. Now, here the if else statement is used for testing the given condition. If the given condition is true, okay, if block will execute. So I'll write the syntax first. Condition. If the condition is true, if block executes, if block executes, else, else block executes. Okay. So now let me come again. This is the syntax of if else statement. So you should follow the same structure when you're writing your, when you're using the if else statement. Okay. So here, let me come. If else statement. This if else statement is used for testing the given condition. Given condition. If the condition is true, it will execute this if block. Otherwise, it will execute this else block. Okay. So if it is true, it will execute if block. If it is false, it will execute the else block. Okay. So this if else statement is useful when we want to perform operation based on the false as well. So for example, if the condition is failing, I want to perform the operation, even the condition becomes fails as well. So then you have to opt this one. Then you have to go and use this if else statement. So there might be a requirement in your day to day life. So your team lead will come and he'll ask you, okay, there is a requirement. We are like testing the two condition. If the condition becomes true, we have to execute some block of statements, or we have to execute some certain operations. If the condition become false, we have to execute some sort of statements. So at that time, what you will use? Definitely, you should go and use this if else block, if else statement. Okay, got it? So here the else block will execute when the condition becomes false. At that time only the else block will execute. Got it? Let me write when to use if statement, if else statement. Sorry, when to use if else statement. So when we want to perform some operation based on the false result as well, then we have to use if else statement. When we want to perform operation, some operation, some operation based on the false result as well, then you should use if else. If else. Got it? Any doubts?
No, clear.
Fine. Let me see. Let me give an example. Again, we'll go to the same student and we'll see. Now, what I'll do is I'll write uh, entire class. Class is a student. Okay, the student is having a marks. See this one? Yeah, yeah, fine. So the student is having marks, and I'll take this marks as an integer because it is storing the whole value. Okay, let's say 60 is the marks. Okay. Now I want to test a condition. I want to check the condition. If a student getting marks, my condition is if a student getting marks more than 65 or more than 65, he'll be given as A grade. Okay. Otherwise, he'll be given as B. Okay. Let me write a condition. So here I'll be using the he'll be given as A grade. Here I'll continue the statement. Otherwise, he will be given as B. So now he is asking you to write a condition to satisfy if the marks are greater than 65. So the student will be given as a grade A. If the student is having marks less than 65, so he'll be giving the no grade as B. Now here, what statement you will use? If statement, if else statement,
If else.
if else,
If
because
else.
yeah, because we are testing the two conditions. If the condition, see, if marks are greater than if marks are if the these marks are greater than the cutoff marks, so I'll be having a chance to execute the two statements, right? For example, 65 is greater than 60. So I'll be saying A grade. If 65, let's say 55 is less than 60. So then will be B grade. Got it? So let me write it. Let me write it. So I have defined the marks int marks equals to 60. Now I'll be writing a condition. If marks greater than 65, given a condition. So if marks greater than 65, then what I'll do, I'll write sysout. I'll write it system dot out dot println. I'll say A grade. Else, if marks are okay less than 60, less than 65. I'll give it is as greater than or equal to. If 65 also he got it, he should be uh, given as a grade. If it is less than 65, I'll say system dot out dot println. So if it is less than 65, what grade I have to give? Otherwise, the grade should be B. If
B.
less than 65, the grade should be B, right? B grade. Fine. Simple, right? So in this, here we are checking the condition, right? In this, what would be the output? In this program, what would be the output? Can someone
B,
tell?
B grade.
B grade. Because here marks we have defined as 60. The student marks are 60 only, and the cutoff marks is 65. Okay. So 60 is greater than 65? No, false. So false in the sense it will comes to the else block and it will execute this B grade. Simple. Okay. Fine. So let's go to the next topic. Let's go to the next topic. If else if ladder. If else if ladder. This is kind of tricky actually. Okay. So listen carefully. In Java, if else if ladder statement is used for again testing the conditions only. Okay, it is used for testing one condition for multiple statements. Again, I'm telling you, like when we have to use this if else if ladder. So when we have multiple conditions to execute, then it is recommended to use the if else if statement. So when to use if else if when we have multiple conditions to execute, then it's always recommended to use if else if ladder. Good. Now, what is the syntax? How the syntax of this if else if ladder look like? Let's understand the syntax. Then we'll write a simple example on this. If the condition, here we will be writing the condition. Here, if the condition is true, so we'll be executing the if block. If block executes. Now, if not, we are testing again. Else, if the condition is not true, so here again we are testing the condition. Else if again we are testing the condition. Here what we are doing is we are testing the multiple conditions. Okay, we are testing the multiple conditions. If this condition is not satisfying, we are testing this condition. If this condition is also not satisfying, we will test one more condition, like that. Okay, at last if any one condition is not satisfying, we'll say we'll execute the we'll come to the else block and we'll say that not a single condition satisfies or something like that. Got it? So now here I'll say here if condition true, code will execute. Okay. Now again, now we are writing one more condition. If else if the condition is, we are checking the condition again. If the condition is not satisfying again, if it is satisfying, we'll be executing the if condition 3. Third block will execute. Else at last we'll write else. We can like this, we can write multiple else if Okay. So any else ifs also you can write n times. You can write n times in the sense 10 times, no, 20 times, 30 times also you can write it. But I'm stopping here because this is a syntax actually. I don't want to like involve everything over here. N times, after n times we are writing else block. So here the code available in else block will execute. Code of else block will execute. Else block will execute. Got it? So when we have to use this if else ladder, when we have multiple conditions, see here we have a multiple conditions to when we have multiple conditions to execute, it is always recommended to use this if else if ladder. It is like a ladder, right? So if this condition is not satisfying, we are checking this condition. Again, we are like going for this ladder. If this condition is satisfying, so we are executing this. If it is not satisfying, again we are going for next ladder. Something like that. Okay. Fine. Let's see an example. Understood the syntax, right? When to use if else if ladder. Any confusions? Let me know.
No.
Okay. Let's take an example. I'll take the same student example. Okay. So let's say we are testing a student marks and displaying the result based on the obtained marks. So if the marks are greater than 50, we will give the grades actually. Let's say let's write the code first. So I'll say uh, I'll do one thing. Okay, I'll be giving an input marks and then yeah, I'll be testing the conditions. Okay, fine, sir. Yeah. So I'll be taking a student class and I'm giving an input marks. My marks is let's say 50. Okay. So here I have a condition actually. Okay. So where I'll be checking uh, my marks and the grade which I am like which I got it for my marks actually. Okay. So if first I am writing a condition, if marks are less than 50. Okay, if marks are less than 50, we'll say this will be you're failed actually. You're failed. Write the complete one. System dot out dot println fail. Else if again if it is not satisfying. Okay, let me it is less than. If it is not satisfying, this condition will not satisfy, right? If this is not satisfying, so again we'll be testing one more condition. If we are getting the marks between the 50 and 60 marks, if you are getting the marks between the 50 and 60, I'll be giving the grade as D. Okay, this let me write that if marks I am getting less than or equals to or greater than or equals to, not less than, greater than or equals to 50, and here I'm using the and marks are less than or equals to or less than 60, not less than or equals to less than 60. So I'll say this, I'll say I'll give the grade as what? D. D. Grade is D. Again, if let's say if this condition is also not satisfying, we need to write one more condition. So else if now here if marks are greater than equals to 60, sorry, marks are greater than or equals to 60 and less than or equals to marks are less than or equals to 70, then we'll give the grade as C. Let me copy this one. C. Again, I'll be writing one more condition. Else if, here we'll write condition, if marks are greater than or equals to 70 above, marks are greater than or equals to 70 and marks are less than 80. So we will be giving the grade as, here not D, here it is C, here it is B. Okay. Else, if again we are writing a condition, if marks are greater than 80, so we'll consider if marks are greater than or equals to 80, so we'll say system.out.println A grade. Grade A. Good. So if you are entering, if you are giving the marks equals to 0 at that time, or minus 50, something like that. So you should give a, you should give some statement actually, try to enter the valid mark, something like that. Invalid, valid input, please enter valid marks for student. Okay. If you are entering minus 50, okay. So it is an invalid, right? It will not satisfy any one of it. Okay. So if it is not satisfying any one of it, we should say invalid input, please enter valid marks for student. Now, in this example, let's see, I am giving marks as 85. That's it. Now, let's come to this condition. If marks, what is my marks? Object will, what is my marks variable storing? 85. 85 is greater than, less than 50? No.
No.
Okay. No. So it will come to here. It will not execute this one. It will come out of the if block. Here it will come to the else if. Again here, it will check the condition. Marks 85. 85 is greater than 50. True. And marks 85. 85 is less than 60. No, it is not. Right? 85 is not less than 60. The first condition, it is satisfying. Okay. Here it is failing. You know, right? The logical operators true and false always becomes false. Right? Have you learned these things in BTech or BE? Logical operators. And or if it is
Yes,
untrue,
yes.
yeah. If both trues are there, the end result will be true. If it is and, if there is a true and false, false, and false and false, it will become true. Huh? Correct? False will
No,
become false
false.
only. I want to test your knowledge. Okay, false and true,
False.
false only. You might have learned all these things, okay, in your uh, logical operators like basic electrical engineering, right? In your basic electrical engineering. Fine. Now, here, if you see 85 is greater than 50, it is satisfying. Now, 85 is less than 60. No, it is not satisfying. This becomes false. So, it is coming out of the if block and it is coming to the else if. So, here again, we are testing the condition. 85 is greater than 60. True. 85 is less than 70. No, it is false. Now, again, come here. Else if marks 85 is greater than 70. True. 85 is less than 80. False. So, now come here again here. Else if 85 is greater than 80. True. Okay. So we are saying grade A. So if a student is getting marks 85, we are giving him as a grade A. Similarly, if I am saying minus 85, so what is the block it will execute? What block it will execute?
Else block.
And
Yeah, else block it will execute. Okay. If it is, if the student marks is 25, what block will execute?
If block.
What first if block, second if block, which block?
First if block.
This one, this one. Because the marks 25 is less than 50. So we are giving him as a fail. Okay, understood? So you understood something now. So when we have a multiple conditions to check, when we have the multiple condition to check and we want to execute a statement after checking the multiple conditions, that's what we did it, right? We have checked the multiple conditions. Okay, we have checked the multiple conditions. We are executing a single statement, right? Or whatever statements you might have written inside your else block, those statements will be executed. Okay, so we are checking if you have if you have a requirement of you want to check the multiple conditions and you want to execute a statements after satisfying a condition among multiple. Okay, so then you might be or you should be going for if else if. There is a one more way. So there is a switch statement. So you can use if else if ladder or switch, both you can use it. Okay, but there is some advantages of switch as well. There are some disadvantages of if else if ladder as well. So we'll come to know when we are learning the switch statement. Got it? So as of now, it is clear, right?
yes, yes.
Okay. Let's see the last one for today's class. It is nested. The fourth one is what? Nested if statement. Nested if statement. Nested if statement is nothing but writing the if inside another if. Okay, let me write the syntax first. By definition, it is saying nested if statement is nothing but writing the if inside another if. Let's say here we have a if condition. I'll write one more if condition inside it. So if you have any statements, you execute these statements and we will be writing one more condition inside it. Got it? So this is the syntax of nested if statement. So in Java, nested if statement is nothing but writing the if inside, writing the if inside another if. Right here, what we have done by the syntax, we can see we have written the if condition inside this another if condition. Okay. So let's write a simple example. You might have seen the Olympics, right? In Olympics, based on the age and the weight, they'll be defining the they'll be saying that he's eligible for junior level kind of participation, something like that. Senior level, they should have an age, something like that. If he's having age greater than 30 or greater than 25, so they are seniors, and the weight is it shouldn't be exceeding more than 75. Okay. So if it, sorry, yeah, if it is exceeding more than 75, they'll be considered as seniors. Okay. So if it is less than 25 and the weight is um less than 65, so they'll be considered as juniors. Okay. So I'm just assuming that these are the some of the conditions given by the Olympics. Okay. So now what we are doing is first we will take any one of this. Let me take this one only. Okay. So first what we are doing is first this is an age and this is the weight. Okay. We will be writing a program. First what it will do is it will check the age of a person. If the age is greater than 25, so we are letting him into execute the if block. Okay. Inside the if block, we are writing one more condition. If weight is greater than 75, so we are saying that you are eligible for Senior Olympics. Okay. So let me write this one. Let me create a class. Weightlifting. Yeah. Olympics weightlifting. Let me create a class. Olympics weightlifting. So while I'm writing a classes, the classes are any variables, keep a note that whether I am following the proper Hungarian notations or not. Okay. So on one more. So here inside this main, let me create a main class, main method. Inside the main method, we will be writing we'll be creating some variables, the age. Okay, let me give the age as 25. Okay. And weight is let's say 78. Now I'm writing a condition if age is greater than or equals to 25. So then you should write, uh, should execute some statement system dot out dot println your weight, your age meets the criteria. Okay, let's check the weight. Now, what I'll do is I'll be writing one more if condition. I'll say if weight is less than or greater than, what is the cutoff I said? 75, right? So 75. 75. Greater than or equal to, I can say. Even for 75 also I'll consider he is eligible, he can participate in weightlifting. I'll say system dot out dot println. Can say okay, you are eligible. Your weight is something. Weight is your weight meets the criteria. You are eligible to participate for Olympics senior weightlifting. Senior weightlifting program. Okay, cool. First, what we are doing? We are checking the first condition if the age is greater than 25 or not, greater than or equals to 25 or not. If the age is greater than or equals to 25, we are saying your age meets the criteria. Let's check the weight. Now what we are doing is again we are writing inside if condition, we are writing one more if. So here what is this if saying? Checking the condition. What is if is checking the condition? It is checking if the weight is greater than or equals to 75. So it says that your weight meets the criteria. You are eligible to participate for Olympics senior weightlifting program. Okay, got it? Any doubts?
Yes.
I'll take it that as no. Okay. So I'll stop over here. So if you have any doubts, please let me know. Yeah, I have created a student services class in my Spring Tool suite. Let me create a method. Check grade for student. Check grade for student. This method will be taking marks as a parameter. The marks type is integer. So I'll be testing I'll be testing the condition. I'll be writing a condition to test the marks. If marks less than 50, if marks are less than 50, what I'll say, student, I'll be giving the student as fail. So yes, so I'll as fail. Okay. Else if marks greater than or equals to 50 and marks less than 60. So I'll give the grade as grade D. I'll give the grade as D. Similarly, I'll write it for others. Let me copy this one. If the marks are greater than or equals to 60 and less than or equals less than 70, so we can give the grade as C. If the marks are greater than 70, less than 80, we are giving it as B. If marks are greater than 80, greater than or equals to 80, then I'll be giving the grade as a A. Correct. At last, what I'm doing, I'm writing else block. I'm saying, sorry, wait a minute, this is how. Okay, I'll say invalid entry. Please enter valid number for marks. Something like this. Okay, sorry. Format it and let's see. I don't want to return anything, so I'll say void. And I want this check grade for student method should be accessible by the other classes as well. So that's why I'm giving it as a public. Okay, formatted the code. Got it? I have created a student service class. Inside the student service class, I have created a method check grade for student, which will be taking the marks as a parameter. So what I'm doing is I'm checking the marks. I'm checking the marks and compare. I'm checking the condition, each and every condition, whether my given marks, whether student marks falls into any one of this category or not. So if it is if any one of the condition is satisfying, I'll be executing the list of statements inside written inside
Hello.
this. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So let me write my client application. Let me go to the client application package. Let me create a student client application. Okay. So here I should give main method. Here what I'll do, I'll create an object of student services equals to new student services. Fine. Now, student services. I want to execute a method. Check grade for students. So here, what I did is I have created a method check for student, and I have taken a marks as an input, and here I am checking the each and every condition. If any one particular condition is satisfying, I'll be executing the statements inside it. Okay, so this is what I'm doing, and I have created a, like, student client application class where the I'm creating a main method inside the class. Okay, what I'm doing is I want to execute the student services. Okay, so that's why I'm giving this students, I'm creating an object of student services inside the main class. Now what I'll do is I'll call the methods of student services now. Student services dot check grade for the student. Here I'm expecting to pass some value. Here I'll be passing a value called 80 or 90. I'll pass. Okay. So now let's trace it. Check for student is a method called by the student services object. Student services is an object of which class? Student services class. Let's go to the student services class. Here we have check for grade, check grade for student method. So it will execute this one. Okay. So now for us, what is the value I am passing over here? 90. Let's trace it. 90 is less than 50, false. 90 is greater than 50, true. And 90 is less than 60, false. Again, 90 is greater than 60, true. 90 is less than 70, false. The condition becomes false. Here 90 is greater than 70, true. And 90 is less than 80, false. This condition becomes false again. Here again the last condition is 90 is greater than 80, true. This condition will execute. Okay, so let's run this one. So from where we have to run our program? From our main method. Okay, let's run. Let's right click on that. Let's run as Java application. See here, once you run your code, you'll be seeing this in your console. Grade 1, grade A. Got it? If I am passing minus 90, so what is the answer? Right, run as Java application minus 90. So it is saying fail. Okay, it is saying fail. If I am passing something like this, it is saying minus 90 fail. Let me check them after. Fail. It is saying 90, 50. Okay. 0. And it is saying fail. Okay, fine. Again, grading.